Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 27th, and it is the morning of my release of How We Fall. I could hardly sleep last night. One, I was really excited. Two, I have a new story going through my head, so there's that. Um, but I just made myself a cup of coffee, and I have a lot to do today. When I came home from work last night, I was just so tired and so sore. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I work in a garden center. And this time of year, it's really intense. It's already a very physically intense job, and then on top of the heat, it just makes it even crazier. So I was so tired. So I Okay, so I stopped filming there for a little bit because it was just endless Facebooking. I have two PR companies doing my release blitz, and so tons of bloggers signed up to share my release blitz. And I like to like and comment on all of their posts. So it was just seriously just me clicking the heart button and saying thank you, thank you, thank you over and over and over again. And it's still really early. It's only 7:06 in the morning, and I just got done liking the first batch of Facebook posts from bloggers and then going on to Twitter and liking all their posts and then reposting a few that had some early reviews for me. Oh, I feel like that's gonna be like what a lot of today is, and I'm starving, so I got myself a breakfast sandwich, and I'm gonna hop back on Facebook and like a few more of them, but it's probably gonna be a lot of that all day today. Last time I did it, 156 bloggers signed up, and that was with one PR company, so I don't even know what today's gonna be like. Hopefully, the results will pay off. My pre-releases went through last night, and then I had some early sales when it went live in Australia, and then I've had a bunch of sales this morning. So, okay, deep breath. I'm gonna stay off my sales dashboard until later. I'm gonna try not to keep looking at my ranking because I do hope that I get a rank boost today. That would be really, really nice. And then I'm gonna try and stay off Goodreads. I've gotten a ton of early reviews and they're just amazing. They make me want to cry. They're so good. So I'm going to try and just avoid all of that today. So I'm going to eat my breakfast sandwich, finish my coffee, which you can already tell it's perking me up a little bit. And yeah, then we're going to sit down and we're going to do some outlining. And I'm going to do some household chores. I probably won't film me cleaning out my refrigerator. We'll just hook back up later and we'll finish up the rest of the day. Okay. Ah. Okay, I'm back and we are going to outline my next book. I just need to stay off being online, my Amazon page. My categories were totally fine this morning, and now all of a sudden my categories are all screwy. My rank is all screwy. So before I get totally upset and just freaking out about like the horrible rank I have because all of a sudden my categories are all screwed up, we're going to plot my book. So I'm going to walk you through a few things that I do. This is what my outline ends up looking like for one of my books. I'm just going to grab my sheet here. So this is how I outline my books. And I'm going to walk you through how I do this. I want to get like a big whiteboard where I do it more in detail and it's bigger and not quite as messy. But for now, this works for me. So I'm going to walk you through what I do and what all the little colored tabs are. And I plot using two things. I plot using a book called The Plot Whisperer, which I don't have with me because I lent it to my nephew who wants to start writing young adult fantasy. So I don't have that with me. I plot my story and then I plot my romance because when you're writing romance is not honestly as easy as people think that it is because you're not only having to plot a full story, with subplots and character development and goals and all this, then you're also having to plot a romance into your story if you want to have a really rich, deep story that people connect with. So the other thing that I use is, if you are a romance author and you are not using Romancing the Beat, I would highly suggest it. I did not have it, or I didn't know about it for my first two books. And so with my last book, I really went in and made sure that I had all of those beats, and it made a world of difference. I used a lot of beats in the space between us without knowing that I was using the beats, but then as soon as I got this book and I started plotting the beats into how we fall, it made a huge difference in how my romance played out. And, people complain that romances are formulaic. And in a sense, they are, but your formula doesn't have to look like a formula if you do it right. And if you write the story the right way, people won't notice the formula. They'll just get so involved in the story that they won't think, oh, here we go, here comes, the breakup, because we're coming up to the black moment. They're going to get so engrossed in the story that they're not even going to notice what you're doing. Here's what I do first. Here's the first part of the outline that I do. So the first thing I need to do is introduce, I call them H1 and H2. I don't do capital H and little h because I don't think the hero and the heroine should have different capitalization. I like them both to be on equal playing grounds, and I don't write wimpy females, so I'm not going to give her lowercase h. So we are H1 and H2. So the first thing that I do is I introduce one of my first heroes or heroine in the first chapter, and I like to set them in their natural environment. In the first chapter in your book, you don't want to get too info dumpy. You don't want to give a ton of backstory. You really want to hook the reader into the first setting, what's happening right now. So again, in How We Fall, we see Haley, and she's walking through a market with this shopping list because it's her first day at work. And someone's like, here, you need to go get these foods at the market. She has no idea what she's doing. She's pretty sure she's going to get fired if she doesn't get the right things, and she bumps into this guy. That brings us to introducing the second character in the book. Now this can be done later, but in mine I did it right away. So they meet, although she does not yet know that he is her boss. And this brings us to the meet cute, which you do need to have in a romance. Every romance should have a meet cute, and that's basically a very memorable way that two characters collide so that, it propels the rest of the book forward. Now, right after the meet cute, we do plot out the first no way moment. And the no way moment is really, really important no matter which romance trope that you're writing. A no way moment could be, I'm really attracted to you, but my goals don't fit with being with you and dating you. A no way moment could be, we cannot be together because you're my boss and I'm your employee. It could be a brother's best friend no way kind of moment. It could be an enemies to lovers kind of moment. So they meet and they instantly clash, but since you're setting up chemistry, they're obviously going to be attracted to each other, but be like, full stop, no way, this can't happen. And this is really, really important, especially in a romance, because you need that push and pull. And when you're creating romantic chemistry, you need that push and pull. You need them to be attracted, but to immediately be like, this can't happen right now, because we want this to happen, but we don't want it to happen too fast, because readers, we want that magnet thing, like you have to keep reading. So right after your no way moment, you need to have an adhesion, a reason that they have to be together in scenes. And you really want this reason. In the book, she calls it make it sticky, because they have to have a reason to be around each other. So whether they're working on the same work project, or maybe they're in the same book club, or their kids go to school together and they're both in the PTA, something that forces these two characters to be together. They don't necessarily want to be together. So in How We Fall, their adhesion was, she starts this job, they're immediately attracted. She's like, okay, he's way out of my league. He's also my boss. This is crazy. He's sitting there thinking like, she's absolutely gorgeous, but she is my employee. I need to get my attraction to her under control. The adhesion is that he finds out that she has this unique gift to taste all the ingredients in foods. he is trying to become a celebrity chef and write a cookbook. So he offers her a job to help him out with this project because she's taste sensitive. So therefore, they're going to be thrust into this project together, and they have to be around each other one on one in order for them to create this cookbook and get these recipes going for him to, you know, audition for this cooking show. Okay, right after your adhesion, we need to have another no way moment, and this is going to fall at about 25% of your book. In romance, at about 25% in your book, you do want to have at least one romantic thing happen between your characters, whether they have a date or maybe just hang out together and experience some intense attraction or some flirting, whether if you're writing erotica, maybe they have their first sexual encounter or even a first kiss. How we fall, they have a clandestine kiss because the attraction is way too much. They have this kiss, and then immediately after that, we have our next no way moment. So she pushes him away and says, wait a minute, we can't do this. You're my boss. And he's trying to apologize, and she's like, no, we can't talk. We can't do this. Done. After we have our no way moment, I'm going to revert back to a regular plot point, and that is called a pinch point. And a pinch point is different than the no way moment. It's different than a lot of other things. And a pinch point should come at about 30 to 33% in your book. And a good pinch point will sort of foreshadow what's going to happen in the black moment. So a pinch point for how we fall is it's the day after the kiss, and Haley is standing in her front yard, and she has this moment, and she is remembering what happened in her last relationship. We have a little bit of a flashback to her previous relationship, and we find out kind of a little bit more about what happened and sort of why she is anti-dating anybody at this point. It also helps foreshadow what's going to happen in the black moment, so that when it does happen, you aren't taken by surprise like, wait a minute, this guy is great. Why is she pushing him away? You find out a little bit more about her, about why she has the walls that she has and why she is opposed to dating anybody at all. So you're not just kind of like, okay, Haley's kind of a jerk. You know, you want to set a little bit more up. After our no way moment 2 and after our pinch point, then we're going to have a little bit of inkling of desire. This is where they are hanging out a little bit more, and they are starting to realize, okay, I kind of like this person, whether I want to admit it or not. And maybe it's just I like this person as a friend. They're funny, they're engaging, I like the things that they have to say. It doesn't even have to be like, I want to bang this person because they're hot. Maybe it's just I really like being around them. Right after the inkling of desire, we're going to have a deepening of desire. So again, I'm going to fall back to how we fall. So after I have my pinch point, they have their first meeting where they're working on the cookbook. And as they're hanging out, they're realizing that they're having a lot of fun. They're laughing and they're chatting and they're having a great time. And he's noticing how she tosses her head back when she laughs and her legs are swinging on the counters, and he thinks it's so endearing, and they're actually having a really great time. The next day, he shows up for a Thanksgiving dinner that she's invited him to, along with a couple other coworkers, and he helps her in the kitchen. He helps her prepare the Thanksgiving dinner, and they hang out, and again, they're just having a freaking blast. And she is noticing how, okay, he's not just my boss. I really kind of like this guy, and I'm really attracted to him, and I don't know what to do about it. That brings us to maybe baby. So now they're attracted to each other. I like them as a person. Okay, maybe we can figure out how this is going to work out for us. That brings us to the 50% mark in our book, and that is the midpoint to love. And at the midpoint to love, we're kind of nurturing what they could be as a couple. At 50%, that's usually when I like to include my first sex scene. And yes, I do plot out where I'm going to have sex because I don't like to use it just as filler. I like it to mean something in my books. And again, that's just me. And I'm not writing erotica, and I'm not saying anything before that is right or wrong. This is just how I do it. I build up to the first sexual encounter so that you can see how dynamic they are together. And maybe the after moment is they're both like, okay, wow, you know, I'm never not doing this ever again. You can keep up with that for a little bit, but then you need to bring in an inkling of doubt. And they need to be like, this is great, but gosh. So in my book, again, How We Fall, Haley does not want to stay in town. The reason she got a job at the restaurant in the first place is because she wanted to save up money so that she could move away and get away from the reputation that she thinks she has and the small town that she's lived in her whole life. And so while she's really enjoying being with Finn and enjoys the sex and enjoys the company, she doesn't plan on sticking around long. And so this is really like for her, what am I doing here? And after that, we need to have another pinch point. So again, another flashback, another memory, another thing that just reminds us of it reminds you of the antagonist's power over the hero or heroine. And again, will help strengthen that black moment when it finally does happen. In my book, the antagonist isn't a person, it is thoughts. It's negative thoughts, and it's the walls built around Haley's heart that she thinks she has to protect herself. So after the inkling of doubt, we need to have the deepening of doubt. And although maybe things seem like they're going great on the outside, on the inside, there is this huge internal struggle as to whether or not to keep going forward with the relationship the way that it is going. And that brings us to the retreat beat and shields up. So things are going great, they're having great sex, they're hanging out, they're laughing, they're becoming friends, but then shields up. Okay, wait a minute, I can't get myself into this situation. I can't go further with this relationship. Full stop, backing out of this. I can't do this. Whether or not they do it physically or mentally, at this point in my book, I usually have them do it both. So they pull back from the person that they're with and say, I can't do this to my heart or whatever. And then that brings us to the breakup. I did in my last book have all my inklings of doubt and my breakup. Instead of using the relationship as a catalyst for my high peak climax, I mean, I did kind of build up that one of them was gonna pull away from the relationship, but my black moment really was sort of an outside catalyst. Times in romance, you will be using the emotions as the buildup for that climax, but you don't always have to do that. I think as long as you know the rules, you can break the rules. So long as emotions and tension is high when you get to that climax, you're gonna do pretty good. But in a lot of romance books, you're gonna have that breakup, or we aren't broken up, but we aren't talking to each other right now, or maybe a massive argument where they both go home and they don't really know where they stand. So long as that tension is really high and they're separated for some reason, you're going to be doing all right in romance. After the breakup, you can do one of two things. You can have them go home and think about it and have what's the dark night, where they're just, if it was a movie, some sort of moody music would be playing and maybe rain would be outside the window. It would be like super dramatic. Oh, I miss you. And they're playing like every sappy love song they can think of. They could go home and take stock of everything that they said and why they didn't feel it. After that, you can have them get back together briefly, but then something needs to separate them again. You need to kind of keep having some peaks and valleys building up to that climax moment to keep readers like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with this couple? I want them to be together, but what's going to happen? We all know what's going to happen, but you need to keep that going so that those pages are just turning. After the dark night, they need to make up, and there needs to be a grand gesture on one of their parts. Usually it's the guy. It's usually the guy who needs to have the grand gesture, I'm sorry. So in the space between us, I had my main character Dean, because he had really fucked up this relationship with Emma. He goes to the diner she works at, and in front of every customer and every employee in this diner, gives this huge speech tearjerker moment. Then they go outside and, he apologizes profusely and confesses his love for her for the first time. In How We Fall, it was Haley who pulled away from the relationship and Haley who had the walls up. So it was her who kind of had to make a grand gesture, although her grand gesture ended up being a little more comedic because she just that's just the way she is. And I took kind of a risk with her last chapter, but it's paid off in all my early reviews. People love the last chapter. So long as one of them is making the grand gesture, one of them is going and saying, "I'm sorry, I love you, my walls are coming down," and woo, happily ever after, heart confetti is falling from the sky, and our couple is together. And then after our grand gesture, we need to show everybody what wholehearted looks like. And in romance, this is usually done in an epilogue where we're showing them, whether it be a month later or 6 months later or a year later, what that relationship looks like after everything took place. So for the first time, and I'm going to keep doing this because it was way too much fun, in How We Fall, I did 2 epilogues. I did an epilogue with Haley, and that takes place about a year later, and it shows what wholehearted looks like for her and just her thoughts on from where she came to where they are now and how she's, so in love and blah, blah, blah. And then I did a second epilogue in Finn's point of view later after that and showing how he feels about the relationship and what's going on with them. And it's just sort of an extra like, moment, you want your readers to be like, oh my gosh, I've been rooting for this. This makes me so happy. This is what we wanted to see happen. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to my phone camera and we are going to plot this out and I'm going to show you kind of what I do with the little sticky tabs and how I plot out where I'm going to put things. Okay, so I was trying to find a way to get my piece of paper totally on there, but what I do is I take a sheet of graph paper and I map out on the bottom. I divide it into 4 acts. I divide it into the first one, which is the setup, which goes to about 20% of the book. Then I do Act 2, which is falling in love, and that takes us to about 40% of the book. I do Act 3, which is the retreat from love, which takes us up to 60% of the book. And then Act 4, which is where we have our climax, our black moment, and then where it leads us to the whole heart. I map this out by projected word count, and this is really important so that as you're writing, you kind of know where you're getting to in your book. So if I'm writing an 80,000 word book, at 20,000 words, I should have completed the end of Act 1 and I should be moving into the falling in love stage in my book. Up at the top, I usually just put, and this is probably going to show up backwards because I'm using my phone and I didn't even think about this. This is absolutely ridiculous. So I just put my title, I put my characters, and then I put my themes, which my theme in this one is family, and then the rest of them will kind of pop up as I'm writing. My antagonists, which I might actually have a human antagonist and mental, emotional antagonist, and then symbols. And I like to use that a lot. I think that having a symbol in a book, whether or not people actually realize that they're seeing a symbol, really just sort of ties everything together. So for example, in Rocking Autumn, one of my symbols was these little brass bells on the door. And it might have seemed like a trivial thing to be including in the beginning, the sound of these brass bells on the door every time Jax entered and exited the bookstore, or every time Autumn chased him out of the bookstore. But then at the end, he is missing her because they're in a long distance relationship, and he goes to this diner and he hears these brass bells and it just puts him at full stop. All of a sudden, Autumn is on his mind and he has to buy a plane ticket to come see her. So I then take my list that had all my beats and I'm going to put that under here so I know where I want to plot things. And then in a red pen, I'm going to mark off the percentages where my pinch points need to happen. So 33% might be right about here. So I'm going to go ahead and write that I need a pinch point here
And then I want another pinch point at probably about 60%. So I'm going to put a mark right here that I want to plot out another pinch point, again, to foreshadow and drive that black moment or climax home, so that when it happens, it doesn't seem so out of the blue. So then what I do is I get these little colored sticky tabs. I take these colored sticky tabs, and on them I write scenes that I want to have happen within my book. And the reason I use sticky tabs is because I sometimes move them around. And because I want peaks and valleys in my story, I will sort of, I might put one way down low and might put one way up high, depending on the emotional level of the book. So I'm going to get started, and I'm just going to fill out some scenes I already have in my head and place them on my sheet so that I can get started writing this book.
Okay, so I've come up with some key scenes that I really want to have take place. And even though I am a pantster, I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna pants my way through this. But by having somewhat of an outline, I'm not gonna get lost, and my story isn't gonna get lost. And then the reason that I divide it into four rather than the traditional, you know, first act, second act, third act, is that usually the first act will end here and the third act will start here, and then you have this gigantic chunk of book to fill, and it's so super intimidating. So that I have found that if I break that down into two, and I still work my way up to that 50% mark, and then I still work my way to that 75% mark, having sort of a stop in the middle makes it not seem so intimidating to me. And it might just be, a mental thing, but by not having like a massive chunk to fill, it just helps me a lot. And I still, work on building towards things. So later I will take my plot points and I'll kind of move them up and down. But for really, these are just kind of the key scenes that I've had in my head about this book. And I'm not going to break them down too much because the story that I'm telling with these two characters, they were side characters in the space between us, and they were uh, the best friends of Emma and Dean, respectively. So Siobhan is Emma's best friend, and Vin, or Vincent, was Dean's best friend. And I didn't really develop them too much for a reason, because I didn't know really where I wanted to go with them. I knew I wanted to do something with them, but I didn't know what. So I didn't develop them too much. I hinted at them having this sort of really explosive chemistry, but I didn't explore it too much because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. So when I had this braingasm about this couple and what I wanted to do with them, it was like the heavens opened up and a choir of angels started singing, because I am so pumped about this story, and I'm so excited to give especially Vin a little bit of depth, because the only really thing that I showed him in the first book is that he's kind of a meathead and he's kind of a douchebag. And he is kind of a meathead douchebag. But I also can't wait to give this meathead douchebag some depth and really dive into his story and really give him some heart and some soul. I will probably do a full video sometime about really breaking down outlining a book or plotting a book, but I hope that some of the key points kind of helped a little bit. Seriously, if you are not a plotter, but you find yourself getting lost, pick up The Plot Whisperer. It is a fantastic book. And if you write romance, really look into getting Romancing the Beat. It's not super intense. It just shows you how to hit the beats of romance so that you give readers a satisfying story. Because, excuse me, I need to sip. I've moved from coffee to coconut water and I'm dying right now. Readers of romance know what they want in a story. Formulaic or not, they want certain parts in a story. And again, like I said, if you do it right, although it is a formula, it's not going to seem like it when people are reading, because they're going to be flipping those pages so fast And I do have a trick for that, and we will talk about that when I dive more into writing. But in fact, I'm not even gonna get into it right now. I have a trick that I learned for how to get people to want to move to the next chapter instead of, when you start a book and you're like, I'm gonna read 2 chapters, and then you end up reading half the book. There is a way to write so that people will do that. So I'll do a whole video about that because as soon as I learned this trick, it makes the world of difference in how you end a chapter, and it's amazing. You're gonna love it. So I'm gonna move on. As you guys can see, I chopped off my hair. So on Sunday morning, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Fuck my hair. I'm gonna cut it all off. And I did. I got some scissors, and before anybody freaks out, I do know how to cut my own hair. There is a trick to it. I learned it when I worked at an Ulta beauty salon. And so, yeah, I got up and I just got some scissors and I just started going crazy. I chopped all my hair off. But my hair is not used to being short, and it's also so excited to be short that's super fluffy, and I don't have the right hair products. So I need to do something with my hair because it keeps falling flat, and then I need to go buy some hair products. So I'm gonna move on to doing some household chores. I'm not gonna take you along while I clean out my fridge. We will regroup. I'm going to take my kids out to frozen yogurt to celebrate my new release today. And again, I'm trying to stay off social media because every time I get on, there's more and more tags, and I keep getting caught up in the liking and commenting, and I'm probably going to go to Facebook jail for liking so many posts today. So I need to stop doing that. And so I'll catch up with you guys later.
So I'm pretty sure that I have mentioned this, but I have a book signing coming up in 3 weeks, and the last of my stuff just got here today. So another effort to avoid sitting on the computer all day today, obsessively checking my numbers, is I'm going to play with my stuff and just kind of see what my table's going to look like, so I'm not taking too much, and I kind of get an idea of how to set it up so that I'm not freaking out on that day. So we're going to go ahead and play with that. Okay, so this is just kind of all my stuff. I got like this little light up sign, some little gift bags for my swag, table decorations, lots of different swag, like some pins and magnets. I got these awesome keychains. I got some lip balms. I think I got this mug made when I released Rocking Autumn. I think I'm going to put pens in that. This is all my paper swag, and then I'm going to use these for like candy and giveaway stuff, and then all my books. So I'm going to kind of like set up my table and just see what it's going to look like.
My day is coming to an end here. I have poured a celebratory glass of wine. I'm about to go outside and throw some steaks on the grill. I had to move rooms because my youngest son fell asleep in my bed. He has a really weird sleeping schedule with his autism. Sometimes it throws him off. So he was awake all night and now he's asleep. So I moved up here and I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. But first I want to say thank you to a few people, but let's have a sip of wine. I want to say thank you to Lexus Infinitum PR and to Enticing Journeys for both taking part in my release blitz today, and for every blogger who signed up to be a part of that and posted today. Thank you so much. It was really exciting to see my name all over the place. Also, thank you to all of my author friends and reader friends and just friends in general who posted and reposted and commented. Thank you to everybody who purchased a copy of How We Fall today. From the bottom of my heart, it means so much that you would want to read my words and connect with my stories. It really is the most awesome feeling in the world. I can't even describe it. So I hope that you liked today's video, and I hope that the breakdown of romance plotting helped. Again, definitely pick up those 2 books if you have troubles with plotting or don't really know how to put stories together. And then I think that the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. But everybody needs, a little bit of help along the way. Even if you are a natural storyteller, which I think was one of my gifts going into it without ever having any creative writing training or having any kind of knowledge at all about how to form a story. I was a natural storyteller, but the building blocks that I've learned have definitely helped me shape my craft, and I hope that they will for you too. So go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscription button, and then the little notification bell up top so that you know every time I post a video. And until then, I will see you next time.